So to remove the cuvette, we'll take this porthole off with these 6 screws. You want to remove the whole photometer from the CFS and go to a clean, clean environment to do this work. So I'll remove this porthole. That should just lift off. And then we want to carefully remove these 3 screws. One thing that I did before I started taking this apart is I got as much of the liquid out of the cuvette as possible, because we don't want to get any liquid or water into the optics area. So that piece just comes off like so. And now there's basically a retaining ring, and I use a 90-degree pick to remove that. There's also an O-ring there. Typically this piece will come off, and then the O-ring is inside there. And again, you can just use that pick and pull that O-ring out. At this point, the cuvette, it's a 2-piece construction, and in order to get it out, in some cases it'll be very tight in there, in other cases it won't be. But I take a suction cup with a pair of pliers, and I can remove the top cover, and I'll leave the bottom one in place. And at this point you can pick whatever foreign material is in there out, and then we want to make sure it's very clean. If we take a lint-free cloth, clean that up so that that's fully clean. We then want to make sure that the hole, inlet and the outlet hole, match up to the mounting block so that liquid will flow through there properly. So I can see that it is lined up. At this point we would clean the face, both faces of the cuvette. And then there's a spacer ring, and we want to make sure that spacer ring goes down, because that creates the gap which the milk and water solution go through. So with that spacer down, we can reinstall the cuvette. So now with that spacer down, I have a gap where the liquid will come in one hole, wash across the face of the cavity, and then down and out the other hole. So at this point we want to be very careful that we keep a very clean surface and no fingerprints on the cuvette. So we'll be very careful to put the O-ring in from the outside, so we're not touching the cuvette. And then the retaining ring, it's a kind of like a triangle shape, so bevel, so we want to make sure that the flat side is up and the pointed side is down, and that will create what we need for that O-ring. So that will just rest on top, and then we install the ring, or the retaining component. You do not want to fully tighten down these screws until they're all in place, because we want to create equal pressure as we tighten down this part onto the cuvette. So now with all the screws in place, we can tighten up each one individually. And we'll go around a couple times and make sure it's good and tight. Now we can reinstall or reassemble the porthole. The porthole cover. Once this is in place, what I typically do is I have a syringe with a fitting, which, if you can configure one, it's a good idea to do a little bit of a pressure test and liquid test before putting the photometer back into the CFS. So I'll show you that next. So we have basically a syringe with a fitting on it, and if I fill it with water and attach it to the fitting for the inlet, and then attach one to the drain, you can see the water wash across the face. So there it is going across, and if I pull it back, you can see the air going across. So at this point, I can confirm, and I'll do a little pressure test by plugging the outlet port using a plug fitting, and I can pressure test that. I'm just pushing with my thumb on that syringe and making sure that I don't have any leakage. Now, you don't want to push too hard, but I can generate about 30 to 40 psi with my thumb. So I can see that I don't have any leakage there, and I should be okay to now put this back into the CFS. Hopefully those cuvette windows will be clean enough so that we get less than 0.05 on both the 40 and 140 detectors, and that's how you clear that foreign substance from the cuvette. If there's any trouble with getting that cuvette out, we would probably require the photometer to be shipped to us to have that work done, but hopefully this can be done in the field.